VCY America presents Crosstalk, a nationwide call-in program discussing issues that have an effect on our families, our communities, our churches, our nation, and our world. Crosstalk, an opportunity for you to voice your concerns for biblical principles. And now live by satellite and around the world on the internet at vcyamerica.org. Here is today's Crosstalk.
Well, thank you, Mr. Morris, and good to have you with us on Crosstalk today. A beautiful day in our town, blue sky and sun shining, and yeah, we got snow around. On the weekend, we had to be up north and up there in Iron Mountain, Michigan, where the snow was knee-deep. In fact, an engineer had to walk 2 blocks in the snow up to his knees just to get back to a transmitter that had decided not to function because of all the snow piled up in the satellite dish. Well, those are the hazards of broadcasting. You sit in your nice warm car or house and listen, and once in a while some of our engineers have got to do some of the grody work to keep things going, and this weekend was one. Well, right now we've got a number of stories to cover, so hang with us. Number one, first of all, a neat one. I mean, this one is really cool. Here is a little girl in Boise, Idaho. Her name is Grace Swanke, S-W-A-N-K-E. She's 10 years old. And she found out that the Girl Scouts of America are entangled with Planned Parenthood. Not only did she decide to quit her troop, but as someone who loved to sell cookies, she decided to make and sell her own brand of cookies, but with a pro-life twist. The thing I enjoyed most about the Girl Scouts was selling cookies, she said. And then I realized I could still sell cookies. I just had to bake them myself, said Gracie. She told LifeSite News. Several years ago, a significant number of Girl Scout councils nationwide admitted to partnering with Planned Parenthood. And when questioned about the affiliation on NBC's Today Show, former Girl Scout CEO Kathy Cloninger admitted that Girl Scout troops and councils partnered with Planned Parenthood to provide, quote, good and information-based sex education, and she never retracted that statement. As recently as 2010, Girl Scouts were caught distributing an explicit sex guide at a Girl Scout UN meeting, and they also recently welcomed into their ranks boys who identify themselves as girls. That's right. I mean, transvestites, people who aren't sure what they are, they're welcome in the Girl Scouts. And at first, young Grace was going to call her project Grace Cookies. But when she decided that all the money raised would go to find an ultrasound machine for a local pro-life clinic, she knew she had to change the name. That's when Grace Cookies for Life was born. Well, the young entrepreneur started her project last year. This is a little 10-year-old girl now, with a number of baking sessions, and raised almost $600 toward that ultrasound machine in her area. Now, on her second year of baking, Grace plans to add the State and Healthcare Center, a medical pro-life women's center in Boise, by helping them to pay for their new location right next door to Planned Parenthood. Her goal of raising $700 has already been surpassed by $900 for a total of $1,600, a little 10-year-old girl. Let me just say this. Grace is thrilled that she's able to sell cookies again, and even more thrilled that her money goes to help save babies. And her face just lights up when you talk with her about it. You can't help but get involved because she's so excited about it. Well, that's good news. That's heartwarming news. And, you know, remember that statement in the Bible, and a little child shall lead them? Could it be? Well, folks, let's be thinking about what we can do that, first of all, from a Christian standpoint, can honor the Lord by our witness, and then to speak out against wickedness, but to also provide the Lord Jesus Christ as the alternative, the love of Christ. Well, today we've got another interesting item. Kathleen Sebelius, of course, is known as the Health and Human Services Secretary. And, of course, you know the issue of contraceptives being discussed recently. And the issue, of course, talking about who's going to pay for the contraceptives. Well, from CNS News, it says this. Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius told a House panel Thursday that a reduction in the number of human beings born in the United States will well compensate employers and insurers for the cost of complying with the new HHS mandate that will require all health care plans to cover sterilizations and all FDA-approved contraceptives, including those that cause abortions. Yeah. You doubt my words? Listen, Kathleen Sebelius, and this kind of thing is just unbelievable, what we're hearing these days, but turn up your hearing aid, here it is.
Employee
Who pays for it? Who
plan.
pays for it? There's no such thing as a free service.
The reduction in a number of pregnancies compensates for the cost of contraception. The overall plan,
So by
according
not
to the National
having
Business
babies
Group on Health,
born,
goes
we're saving
down,
money.
not up.
I just want to get this on the record, Mr. Chairman. So you're saying by not having babies born, we're going to save money in health care?
Providing contraception as a critical preventive health benefit for women and for their children reduces health.
Not having babies born is a critical benefit. This is absolutely amazing to me. I yield back.
Well, you heard it with your own ears. This is the Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, who told the House panel that. Hard to believe? Well, you see, the Catholic Church teaches sterilization and contraception or abortion are wrong, and that Catholics must not be involved in them. And the regulatory forces dealing with Catholics. But there are other people who are Christians who have come to the situation where they're seeing that contraceptions, many of them, are killing babies. It is absolutely an abortifacient. But the excuse, of all the excuses, I wish we had television today. You could see our call screener, who looked like, give me a break, Kathleen Sebelius, making that statement. You want to play it again? Listen carefully. I want you to hear the words because it's hard to believe it.
Employee
Who pays
health
for it?
benefit
Who pays
plan.
for it? There's no such thing as a free
The
service.
reduction in a number of pregnancies compensates for the cost of contraception. The overall plan,
So by
according
not
to the National
having
Business
babies
Group on Health,
born,
goes
we're saving
down, not
money.
up.
I just want to get this on the record, Mr. Chairman. So you're saying by not having babies born, we're going to save money in health care?
Providing contraception as a critical preventive health benefit for women and for their children reduces health.
Not having babies born is a critical benefit. This is absolutely amazing to me. I yield back.
Well, there you have it, folks. From the seat of wisdom and knowledge, Washington, D.C., these are the people that have been placed in authority over our country and over our health care. What else have they got? We start talking about the issues of euthanasia and infanticide that also come forth from these halls of wisdom and benevolence. Speaking of benevolence, a new item, another one, $4.2 billion. At least that's what the news said today. $4.2 billion in monies that are being given to illegal aliens who have children in the United States. Now, bear in mind, these are people who have no Social Security number. They pay no taxes whatsoever. And the government is taking your tax dollars, your money, and paying up to $1,000 per child to people who are here illegally and are not earning, not paying anything into the system, and $4.2 billion is what it's looking like this year? I hear the dead silence. It's kind of stunning, isn't it? But that's the case, and it's on today's news all over the place. I'm sure some of you already heard it. Well, another item on our agenda today. Many of us have been praying for Pastor Yousef Nadarkhani. And the word was out, unofficially, that he had been hung, that he was killed. However, from the American Center for Law and Justice, as of Saturday afternoon, March the 3rd, the ACLJ sources in Iran have confirmed that Pastor Nadarkhani, I didn't say it right, that he is still alive. Reports that his execution occurred earlier today are false, and images being circulated purporting to be from his execution are outdated and demonstrably false. The ACLJ still believes that the execution order has been issued, but can confirm that as of today, Pastor Yousef is still alive. International pressure continues to build on Iran, and the word is, please continue to pray for Pastor Yousef as they fight for his life. Well, keep the information going. There's more information. Sometimes I find it hard to believe I'm reading this stuff, but it's for real. I mean, it is absolutely for real. Our friends listening in Australia, and I know we have a bunch in Australia, New Zealand that listen to Crosstalk. But for immediate release, March the 2nd, Australian ethicists argue the right to kill babies after they're born. Washington, D.C., an article entitled, After Birth Abortion, Why Should the Baby Live?, was recently published in the London-based Journal of Medical Ethics, advocating that if abortion is allowed, then society has also the right to kill a newborn child. This outrageous deduction by Alberto Guiblini, and also another individual, they take abortion to its logical conclusions. The abstract states, by showing that both fetuses and newborns do not have the same moral status as actual persons, the fact that both are potentially persons is morally irrelevant, and that adoption is not always the best interest for actual people. The authors argue that what we call after-birth killing or aborting should be permissible in all the cases where abortion is included, including cases where the newborn is not disabled. The authors are willing to admit that handicapped children are able to live happy lives, but then advocate that because of their burden on the rest of the family, the children should be able to be killed. Where do you go with this? Australia? I hope there are people that react to that. We're going to be right back with you in just a moment. This latest came to us from Liberty Counsel, so it came from a good source. We shall return in a moment. This is Crosstalk.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, scientist with the Institute for Creation Research.
Dr. Morris, what does it take to make a good scientific theory?
Chris had said that a good scientific theory must be testable and falsifiable. There must be some test by which you can determine if a theory is false. Creation theory fits this definition. And by this I mean that the Bible declares that God created the separate kinds of organisms and that they did not come from a common ancestor as in evolution. The Bible also says that life only comes from life. In that sense, creation doctrine is testable. To disprove creation, all one has to do is show how life can come from non-life, but nothing like this has ever been observed, nor has one basic kind of animal ever been seen to go into another. Thus, creation theory has passed the test. In fact, it's more than a theory. It's the truth. The Creator told us about it back in Genesis.
Thanks, Dr. Morris. Back to Genesis is a production of the Institute for Creation Research.
Many of us will remember hearing Nancy Pelosi say, well, just pass this health care bill, and then you can read and find out what's in it. Now, how many of you would buy food that way? How many would buy a car and just say, well, I'll buy the car and then find out what's under the hood? How many of you would do anything without, first of all, having confidence of what's inside? Well, here we have an interesting thing. You've got lawmakers that are, well, here's some decisions. Look, taxpayers fund abortions, transgender treatments for illegal aliens under the new Obama administration rules. Did you hear me? That's right. Let me read you the article. LifeSite News, date March 2. Under new guidelines issued by the Obama administration, immigration agents must provide taxpayer-funded abortion services, transportation to the abortion clinic, and, get this, transgender hormone therapy for illegal aliens awaiting deportation who are not sure whether they are a man or a woman. Folks, the story goes on. The policy overhaul is contained in the performance-based national detention standards issued by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, a part of the Department of Homeland Security. The new rules, first issued since 2008, state that a pregnant detainee in custody shall have access to pregnancy services, including abortion services. The government must also furnish counseling and assistance for pregnant women, in keeping with their expressed desires in planning for their pregnancy, whether they desire abortion, adoptive services, or to keep the child. If the detainee says her pregnancy was the result of rape or incest, or if her life would be endangered, ICE will assume the costs associated with a female detainee's decision to terminate a pregnancy. ICE agents must arrange for the transportation at no cost to the detainee for the medical appointment, and even for elective abortions. And while the policy will pay for and transport pregnant illegals to an abortion appointment, the new regulations may block female detainees' access to crisis pregnancy centers by mandating that they have to have access to non-directive counseling. Folks, this is our country. Let's go further. In the state of Iowa, there has been a kind of an abortion thing. Well, they called it webcam abortion centers in Iowa. Now, let me explain. Planned Parenthood abortion business is closing 2 centers that engage in telemed or webcam abortions, where women get the dangerous abortion drug but are denied an in-person medical examination from a physician as suggested by the FDA. 40 Days for Life campaign director Sean Carney announced the closure yesterday and will join local pro-life advocates at those centers in praying during the national campaign going on now. On March 1, Planned Parenthood's failed telemed abortion facilities in Storm Lake and Knoxville, Iowa, are closing forever, thanks in part to the hard work and prayers of hundreds of faithful Iowa pro-lifers who participated in 40 Days for Life campaigns outside of each facility's doors. The story is there, folks, and many people are thanking God for some more doors of the abortuaries being closed. Well, that's an item. We're going to move along with another one here. This one comes from California. I didn't know these crazy things were. I didn't know they were doing video, or I should say webcam abortions, webcam centers in Iowa, and then claiming they had a physical exam when the doctor is sitting watching his computer screen while the patient is sitting who knows how far away, looking into a computer cam, and the doctor is examining the person? Talk about liability. That's inviting for it to happen, isn't it? Well, California's got something here. It's getting hard to find enough good abortion doctors. I mean, after all, the need for abortions is increasing. 50 million babies and counting, and here we are in a country that claims to be civil. We claim to be God-fearing, put that in quotes. We claim to be deeply compassionate, except to preborn babies, that is. But now here is California. Get this. Senate bill will allow nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, and nurse midwives to perform routine abortions in the first trimester. Yeah, a state lawmaker is proposing to allow nurse practitioners, physician assistants, and nurse midwives to perform routine abortions in the first trimester of pregnancy as a way of expanding access to the procedure across California. Only doctors may perform aspiration abortions, the most common method of terminating early pregnancies under existing state law. Let me back up on that phrase, folks. Terminating early pregnancies. Let's put it to what it is. Killing little babies. But in many parts of California, particularly rural areas, they don't have enough of these physicians around to kill babies. Now, State Senator Christine Kehoe, a Democrat of San Diego, made these statements. She's the author of the proposal, which is co-sponsored by the heads of both legislative houses. That's Democrats and Republicans. We believe it will give many California women access to earlier, safer procedures in the first trimester of their pregnancy, Kehoe said at a news conference in Sacramento on Tuesday. Abortion rights proponents celebrate Kehoe's measure as one of those that bucks the national trend of restricting access to the procedure. Well, folks, that's California, but let me tell you this. Whatever happens in California comes east. And whatever we do in California, whatever is allowed to be done in California, the next thing you know, it's in Idaho. The next thing you know, it's in the South Dakota, North Dakota. The next thing you know, it's in Nebraska. The next thing you know, it's in Iowa, Minnesota, and it moves across the country. And tell me that there's an agenda. I believe there's an agenda, and it's very clear. It's to increase abortions. Now, here's another interesting story. It ties into the abortion business, but it makes me sick to my stomach. The Obama agency rules PepsiCo, that's the company that makes Pepsi-Cola, cannibalizing aborted fetuses is just ordinary business. You say, what in the world does PepsiCo have to do with abortion product? Well, let me read it to you. Christian Newswire. In a shocking decision delivered February 28th, President Obama's Security and Exchange Commission ruled that PepsiCo, that's the company that makes Pepsi-Cola, that PepsiCo's use of aborted fetal remains in their research and development agreement with Cinemex to produce flavor enhancers falls under ordinary business operations. Now, this letter was signed by Attorney Brian Pitko of the SEC Office of Chief Counsel. It was sent a 36-page document submitted by PepsiCo attorneys in January of 2012. And in that filing, PepsiCo pleaded with the SEC to reject the shareholders' resolution filed in October that the company adopt a corporate policy that recognizes human rights and employs ethical standards which do not involve the remains of aborted human beings in both private and collaborative research and development agreements? My big question, what in the name of sense are aborted fetuses doing determining the taste of Pepsi-Cola? I mean, this is outrageous. No, worse than that. It's lunacy. The inmates surely are taking over the asylum. Now, I've shared these stories with you. I probably could have gone on with 10 or 15 more. But I'm going to open the phone lines and let you people respond. Some of you are very astute. You're watching things happen. Sometimes you shake your head and say, I can't believe that this is happening. But it is. And my question is, what can we as Christians do? How should we respond when these things happen? How can we make a difference? Our telephone number, toll-free from anywhere on the planet, 800-733-9829. 800-733-9829. We're looking for your calls, your comments, as we come to the end of this particular segment. Again, our phone number, 800-733-9829. I mean, PepsiCo messing with the bodies of little aborted fetuses in order to find flavor enhancements? I don't know. Word pictures defy me. Our lines are jammed right now. We're going to have a busy program this right after the break. But I want you to be praying for our country and pray for our leaders. Pray that God will give us leaders that have cognizance of a rational mindset. I mean, does it come to the place where people cannot see wickedness? They can't see wrong and right? Somebody said, well, wrong and right are two commodities. No. Wrong is the absence of right. When someone is right, they're not brutalizing someone. When you're wrong, it means that's the absence or the lack of righteousness. And so as you think about that today, we'll take your phone calls. Our telephone number, 800-733-9829. By the way, invite a friend to listen. And if you'd like to go back to some of our archives on the air, if you go to crosstalkamerica.com, crosstalkamerica.com, you'll find all kinds of interesting stories. Also, you can go to Vimeo. That's Vimeo, Vimeo. It's a video service on the internet, Vimeo.com. And you simply type in, when the search window comes up, type in VCY America or just VCY. And you'll be surprised, but there'll be, I think there's over 100 and some programs on Vimeo available for your perusal. And the entire program is there, so you're welcome to do so. We're going to take a break here for a few moments, and when we come back, we're going to answer phone calls. Our telephone number again, 800-733-9829. This is Crosstalk.
Are you on death row? One Christian film producer says everybody is. Every one of us will one day die. Then what? In a heart-stirring 30-minute DVD, film writer, producer, and director Dave Cristiano has released a penetrating onstage drama that takes you inside a prison cell and captures the life of a man on death row who knows that in less than 3 hours he will die. Convicted of murder, he sits angry, guilty, and scared. At his request for a preacher, the two engage in a soul-searching conversation that is forever impacting. As an evangelistic tool, VCY America is making available Death Row, encouraging you to share with unsaved friends and loved ones. One copy is available for a donation of $8, or you can obtain a 4-pack of the Death Row DVDs for a donation of $20. This offer will expire at the end of March. To make your donation by phone, call 1-800-729-9829 and specify whether you want 1 or 4 Death Row DVDs. That's 1-800-729-9829.
And welcome back to Crosstalk. As calls keep coming in here today, we'll be glad to take your calls. We have Lewis is calling from Green Bay right now. Green Bay, Wisconsin, you're on the air. Just came through your town yesterday afternoon. Hello, Lewis.
Hello? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm so excited when I heard this on the radio. I'm kind of nervous right now because it's all emotions together.
I understand.
First of all, before I forget, if anyone goes to Lewis9291 on YouTube, he's got a whole bunch of stuff about this and fears eating and eugenics and so-called new Nephilim of today, of today's day.
Okay, sir. And Lewis? What are your thoughts about our topic today?
Okay, well, my thoughts is that, yes, they started doing this in China, and they've spread it here in the United States. They started doing that in New York and Chinatown. And now Obama and all these other people are seeing this like if it's nothing, and, what we're dealing here is Obama and some of acquaintances of him, he is not human.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Lewis, for your thoughts there from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Moving to Lydia in Missouri. Lydia, you're on the air. Lydia.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Hi. I really respectfully want to talk about this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a lot of unwanted babies from mothers that got pregnant in very different situations, and they do not want their babies. These babies go up for adoption. They end up in shelters, in homes where people foster for a business, and they are neglected, they are abused, and they lead a very damaged life because they were given up by their mother, and their mother chose the route of having them. I believe that abortion should not be used in any frivolous way at all, of course.
What do you mean frivolous way, ma'am?
In any way, like just, I don't want it. I don't want it. In any way that they carelessly got pregnant, but in a situation where they got pregnant and by any type of abusive matter or any type of rape or there's something wrong, these babies are born and they're not wanted, and the vast majority of them do not go to loving homes.
Well, Lydia, before you go further, I'm going to ask you this. You say the vast majority of them. Now that sounds very impressive. Lydia, now listen, it's my turn to talk, okay?
Sure.
Okay. You've already said that, Lydia. Now give me a chance to talk to you. You said in a vast majority of cases. Would you listen to me now?
Yes.
Have you done any scientific research? Do you have numbers that can prove to me that what you just said is true? The vast majority of cases.
Okay, no, I do not have numbers.
All right.
Let me correct that. In the vast majority of cases that I've seen.
All right, that narrows it down quite a bit from the vast majority of cases for the entire world. So, Lydia, not only that, but I'm aware of many fine Christian institutions where children are adopted into loving families. Hundreds of cases.
Happens, but it doesn't happen to so many children. It doesn't happen to all of them, and I'm sorry for cutting on, and you're right, and they do, and some are lucky, and some do.
Lydia, I'm going to ask you this. I can't think of anything worse, abortive, than to tear a child's body apart limb from limb, to behead them, to throw them in a trash bag.
Okay, I am a neonatal nurse practitioner, like I said.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I know first trimester, they are not formed to the extent that you are making it out to be.
Lydia, I have seen pictures of the little arms and legs. I have seen ultrasounds of the beating heart And when a heart is beating, Lydia, there's life there.
Yes, the heart does beat.
Yeah, and there's life there.
I'm not advocating second trimester.
What difference is it? What difference if you kill a child in their smallest growth period? What difference is life only becomes sacred to you after the child is so big?
I don't want to be disrespectful, and I only understand, and I have unfortunately seen living children that are unwanted and that are maybe taken to term living with a parent that didn't want them.
Okay, and Lydia, what you're saying is it'd be better to kill them than to let them grow up with any life whatsoever.
Well, you need quality of life, not quantity of life.
Well, let me just say this, Lydia. I hope you're not the nurse that cares for me when I'm in the hospital, because your quality of life and your value system, in my opinion, is one of the worst that I've ever heard. What do you have a compass, moral compass, Lydia?
Absolutely.
What is your moral compass?
Listen, I
No, tell me now. What is your moral? It's just a statement. What is your moral compass?
My moral compass is treating people well, is doing no harm, yes, but sometimes it's better for a fetus to be unborn than to be mistreated and damaged for life.
Lydia, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you call yourself a Christian?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you believe the Ten Commandments?
Yes, I do.
And it says, thou shalt not commit murder.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, why would you then violate that principle for an innocent little child? I mean, we have more compassion and love for innocent little animals and birds and creeping things with the Department of where they dog pounds and whatever. We have more compassion for pets. And here I hear you, a professional in the area of child care, and you're saying it'd be better. You know, I will take your statements a bit ago, Lydia, and I mean this as sincerely as I can. You first said in the majority of cases, and then you corrected it. You said in the majority of cases that you had seen, and you're judging the whole world through your set of eyes. And may I say that you need to check into the standards. The moral compass that I'm talking about is God's Word. In God's Word, it's not your impression, it's not your opinion, it is God's Word. And I hope and I pray for you, Lydia, that somehow God will open your eyes to recognize that the gift of life, the very function of life, the miracle of birth, the miracle of conception, and then we dare tamper with what God has given to us?
But does it not matter, these innocent children, as you say, for them to have the right to a loving family?
Well, how unloving could it be to kill the child, Lydia? You're confused. I'm sorry, and I'll pray for you. I can't let you go further because our other people have their opinions. Ashland, Oregon, you're on the air, Robert.
Hi, this is Robert.
Yep.
I totally agree with you there, man. With her, she's nuts. I just wanted to. It just blows me away that I don't know what's worse now, what I heard on the radio or this lady. I'm sorry.
Well, let me warn you. There are people just like this lady who I'm sure was very sincere, but who are in places of health care. There are decision makers who have the same mindset as this lady did.
Yeah. Yep. The only thing I could see is maybe she grew up in a ginormous city, sees so much bad things. It's just so, what should I say? Human touch is just not there with a lot of people like that, I would think, because it's, they just want to forget about it and move on, and they put their mind on what they put their mind on, and they just want to keep on going forward and just forget maybe what the right thing is.
Robert, let me just say this, that for about 25 years, I spent much time working with delinquent kids from broken homes, kids that we would take camping. Some kids had never been out of this concrete jungle. talking to kids who, yes, even had killed somebody through the juvenile justice system. They had killed someone, were in the juvenile justice system for committing murder, only 13 years of age. And yes, there are atrocities, but we don't sit there. I mean, if she's looking to put forth effort, then there needs to be people within the social system to find these abused kids and give them life.
Right.
Robert,
yeah, that just blows me away. But you know what? I'm sorry, but what really what made me call, and I never call on this is the first time I've ever done this, is Pepsi-Cola. Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Pepsi is actually putting dead baby parts in their whatever they're putting it in.
No. Let me make very clear now. They're using compounds that come from aborted fetuses for analysis, and however complex they want to make it, the Pepsi-Cola, according to this article, PepsiCo is involved in utilizing. Well, let me read it to you. This is from. We read this before. This is from the Christian Newswire.
Okay.
In a shocking decision delivered February 28th, President Obama's Security and Exchange Commission ruled that PepsiCo's use of aborted fetal remains in their research and development agreement with Cenomix to produce flavor enhancers falls under ordinary business operations. Therefore, they could not be prosecuted. Takes your breath away. Go to the Christian Newswire online. Christian Newswire, and look under just type in the word PepsiCo, P-E-P-S-I-C-O. Cannibalizing aborted fetuses. Ordinary business. Thanks for the call, Robert. Appreciate your call. Let's see. We're coming up here very quickly. Pam in Ohio. And Pam, you're on the air. Go right ahead, Pam.
Oh, hi.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. I'm shaking. I have never done this before. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Just want to hit on one thing real quick, which is not the reason I called.
Sure.
Concerning animals, I have 3 cats that I've been trying to get to be put to sleep, and it's near to impossible. And I think it is just absolutely amazing that we kill babies every day, but yet this animal right thing overrides babies' rights.
Pam,
that is a sad thing.
Pam, if you have cats that need to be put away, you probably take them to Planned Parenthood. They know what to do with them.
Okay, but what I truly called about is this. I believe earlier in the program there was something, while I was in taking care of my daughter who's severely handicapped, I believe I heard something about aborting deformed fetuses.
Yes, and non-deformed. Stay with me. Pam, we got a break right now, but I'll talk to you on the other side. Stay right there, okay?
Alrighty.
We'll be right back. Pam in Ohio Online. We shall be returning in a moment.
For the Worldview Weekend Minute, I'm Brennan House. Our website's worldviewweekend.com. Romans 1:23 tells us that one of the signs that God has given a nation over is that they begin to take the incorruptible God and make him like the corruptible man. We see in 2 Thessalonians 2:9-11 that there will be a strong delusion during the last days. We see in 1 Kings chapter 22:19-23 that when people follow false teachers and false gods, God actually allows demons to speak through those false gods, making people believe that their gods are really real. We see in 1 Kings chapter 22, God permitting 400 demons to go into 400 false prophets and then speak like they had authority in order to do what? To destroy the people. In other words, God uses false teachers, false prophets, and false gods and allows the demons to take part in that in order to bring judgment for their idolatry. Indeed, I believe God's judging America, but we can use it to proclaim the gospel.
And welcome back to Crosstalk. Online with us from Ohio is Pam. And Pam, I'm sorry that break came along, but we're back with you now. The other item you had to share.
It's okay. Okay, I'm here. I have a daughter who's 31. She's at the stage of an infant, and I have been taking care of her all these years. And it has not come without pain. It has not come with a lot of tears, without a lot of tears. But let me tell you something. I look into her eyes, and they are so angelic. They're straight from heaven. She is totally innocent. And for anyone who has these tests to decide, or however they find out where the child may be deformed or may not be deformed, and then they have that option to abort that child, it is appalling to me. It's absolutely appalling, because my daughter is the love of my life. And if I did not have those tests, that was 31 years ago, done, and even if I had them, I would not have ever aborted my daughter. She's the most beautiful angel in the world.
Pam, that's because you have a true mother's heart. And God. And the love of God.
Thank you. And God has touched me through her life. And that is the most appalling thing, to think that people have these tests done to see if their child is going to be handicapped or not. And I also know, not factual, but I just do know that sometimes they make mistakes on that anyway.
That's right.
And that is not even to mention the fact of aborting children that are not deformed in any way, shape, or form. So I just wanted to share that with you. And a handicapped child is a special gift from God.
Pam, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your call, and we're right on target with you. We're going to go to Mayville, Wisconsin, talk to Arlene. Arlene, you're on the air.
Yes, I have just one thing to say. It's Hosea 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Thank you.
God bless you, Arlene. Thank you. We're going to go along to Brad in West Allis. And Brad, you're on the air.
Hi. I heard that previous caller talk about the idea of we don't want to have abortions done frivolously. And I'm going, what? That's the only kind of abortions there are. They're taking the most innocent among us in the womb, which is supposed to be the safest place on this planet, and committing mayhem and murdering them. Now, that's pretty frivolous, if you ask me. I don't care what their made-up reason is.
Well, let me just say this, Brad, that people need to be very cognizant of some of the professional health care that's out there, and I mean this kindly. I am so grateful. I'm one of those people that receives health care. Every month I'm at the hospital. We have been battling an issue that has been with me for a long time, but I'm feeling great. I'm feeling, the doctors say things are successful and we're doing fine. But the issue is there are some out there who would immediately start talking quality of life. I was just on the phone with a lady whose husband passed away just this past week. And she was talking about the fact that they were trying to preserve life as long as they possibly could, even though the person was in their 80s. But immediately, the nurse supervising this began to suggest certain medications that were very severe on an elderly person. And the advocate and the family said, why are you suggesting these drugs? And they said, well, his quality of life is no longer as good as it could be. So that's why we're recommending these drugs. In essence, those drugs would have been putting him down rather than helping him.
Yeah, that's not our job. We're only supposed to take life if somebody commits a capital crime, and that's through the proper channels.
And
government.
And if I recall correctly, the Hippocratic Oath, which some doctors don't even take anymore, says do no harm.
Do no harm, that's right. And it looks like PepsiCo is by proxy trying to turn us into a bunch of cannibals.
Brad, thanks for the call from West Allis. Got to keep moving along here. Dee Dee from Hillsboro, Wisconsin. Dee Dee, you're on the air.
Hi, I'm calling because I'm actually a labor and delivery nurse, so I see that first breath when that baby's born, and I'm on my way to work, and I hear your thing about the Pepsi, and I just bought a Pepsi to go to work, and I'm just appalled to think that I'm putting forth my money to such a horrible company that would do something like that. I'm thinking, Well, when I get my bottle of shampoo, on my shampoo it says no, not tested on animals, let's not hurt any animals, yet we're using baby parts to test a Pepsi for us to drink. And I'm just appalled by it. I'm a Christian, totally anti-abortion, and to think that all this time I've been spending money to a company that promotes something as hideous as that.
Dee Dee, one other thing. Watch out for beauty products that talk about collagen, because there you're, once again, dealing with products from fetuses. Collagen. It's an important ingredient to some of these products that make you beautiful.
Really? That is just appalling. And what's this world coming to? That's all I got to say.
God bless you, Dee Dee. Thanks for the call.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Watertown and Sean, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi. Yeah. Hey, Vic. I just saw an article, I think it was last week, one of the major medical journals, and this man was making the argument, at least I think it was a man, making the argument that says there really isn't a difference between the preborn aborted baby and a newborn, that if the quality of life for that newborn isn't viable, or if that parent didn't want it, there should be no difference in terminating the life of that newborn than it is aborting a preborn.
That's exactly. We opened with that story today, Sean, and it is disheartening. It is absolutely astounding. We need to come to the Lord and ask for repentance and forgiveness. And yes, only the Word of God is going to provide clarity of thought and conviction of heart as we come to Him. Thank you, Sean. We're right at the end of our program, and I apologize to Al in Alabama there, and also Matthew in Pensacola. We are out of time. But I want to thank each and every one that's taken the time to call, and invite a friend to join us every day on Crosstalk. And if you want to read or listen to some of the archives of older programs, simply go to crosstalkamerica.com. crosstalkamerica.com, and you can open up the files there, go back in time, and listen to product that has come from our studios. Invite a friend to listen. And in the meantime, pray for our country. Pray for the leaders, and pray that God will give us leaders that have got their heads screwed on right. I said it yesterday. Have the inmates taken over the asylum? I hope not. Thanks for joining us.
You've been listening to Crosstalk via satellite and the internet from VCY America. Views expressed may or may not be those of this station. For a CD of today's program, send a donation of $6 or more to VCY Tape Ministry, 3434 West Kilbourne Avenue, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53208, or download by RSS or podcast from crosstalkamerica.com. And join us again for